on pages 11 and 12 of our Unit 2 notes, we're looking at finding the equation from a linear graph. A linear graph looks like a straight line. Now, when we get to lines and equations from lines, we start to use some different words. So up until now, with situations and patterns and tables, we've been using the word start value and rate of change. Those, again, are the words that we use for situations, patterns, and tables. For graphs, we start to use y-intercept and slope. For a graph, the start value and the y-intercept are very, very closely related. In this particular graph, the y-intercept is x equal to 0, y equal to 4. The x-coordinate is always a 0 for the y-intercept because the x-coordinate of every point on the y-axis is 0. So my y-intercept is actually 0, comma b. My start value, b, is just 4. So in my equation so far, I know that I'm going to have a plus 4 at the end. My start value is this 4. For my rate of change, my general definition of rate of change, how much y changes when x increases by 1, stays the same. So if we look at the graph, I have this point 0, 4. If I go to the next point where x equals 1, so x increases by 1, now y equals 2. So my y value went down by 2. Here, my x value increases by 1. So I go from the point 1, 2 to the point 3, 0. So my y value decreased by 2. That tells me that my rate of change, or my slope, the word we use for a graph, is negative 2. Now with a graph, we have a technique for finding that rate of change rather than thinking about it so hard every time. And that is to draw a slope triangle. So we pick any 2 points right on the grid. So there's one and there's one. And then we start from the point on the left and we figure out, are we going up or down? In this case, we are going down. That upper, oh, that's a 2. That up or down is my rise. So for this particular graph, my rise is negative 2. Again, it's negative because when going from left to right, I'm going down for my slope triangle. And then my run is how much I'm going to the right, which is 1. Negative 2 over 1 gives me a slope of negative 2. That means my equation is y equals negative 2x plus 4. Again, the rate of change is what I identified before. When x goes up by 1, y goes up by 2, goes down by 2. But for a graph, we use the word slope. Now there's a lot, actually an infinite number of slope triangles that we could have used to calculate that slope. I'm really sorry, this dot is not very nicely drawn. So I could have drawn this slope triangle, which has me going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And to the right, 4. That would still simplify with rise of negative 8, run of 4. Negative 8 divided by 4 would still give me negative 2. Even if I went from right to left, which we really don't recommend, if I went from right to left, I would have a run of negative 4 and a rise of 8. That would still give me 8 divided by negative 4, which is negative 2. Looking at some of these other graphs, the most common mistake for this guy is you draw the slope triangle correctly. Oops, I chose that slope triangle, so that's a 2. I could have chosen the smaller one, up 1 over 2. I'm choosing up 2, rise of 2, run of 4. The most common mistake is to just always think, oh, I should divide the bigger by the smaller. But nope, my rise is 2. My run is 4, so my slope is 1/2. Given that y-intercept of 0, negative 3, my equation will be y equals 1/2 x minus 3. And we're checking our equations here. This one is nice negative. It's going to have a negative slope. This one is puff, puff, positive. Remembering slope dude, it will have a positive slope. The last little point is, or last little detail is, usually you are not actually given a graph with the points already plotted for you. So you're going to need to look at a place on the graph where the graph or the line exactly crosses the grid at whole numbers, whole number value of x, -2, whole number value of y, -3. And then you can use any of those points that you chose yourself to make your slope triangle. I could have up 2 over 1, up 4 over 2, up 6 over 3, up 8 over 4, even up 10 over 5, and all of those would give me a slope of 2. Here it's a little bit harder, but it looks like this is going to be a rise of -2, a run of 8. So my slope is -2 over 8, or -1/4.